Hey, what is going on, guys? Overdead Stealth here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down 3 of the best champions for every single role for low elo at the moment. So if we start things off here with a few top lane picks, first one up is Nasus. So I think hands down Nasus is one of the best, if not the best, top laners for low elo at the moment. He got directly buffed a couple patches ago. We've also seen some of the most picked top laners in the lower elos get nerfed recently, like the Garen and the Darius, so that indirectly makes Nasus even stronger. He's just a much better pick for the lower ranks as well, because people aren't really going to know how to exploit his weaker early game, and they're not going to punish him as hard in the laning phase. So you're going to find yourself stacking up really nicely in the laning phase, getting to your mid game spike a lot easier. And if you can just get to Trinity Force, get your stacks going with your Q in the early game there, and just hit that nice mid game spike, then you can really take over games with Nasus. For my second top lane pick, it's Urgot, and like Nasus, Urgot did recently receive some direct buffs. He got a buff to his E stun duration, also a buff to his ultimate cooldown, which has made him a much better pick for all elos in this patch, but especially for the lower ranks, because he's just a very straightforward champion, very simple to pick up, similar to Nasus. It's not going to take you very many games to start to see some good success on Urgot. He also does perform very well in this patch right now against those most picked champions in the lower ranks, so he does very well against the Darius and against the Garen, who you see a ton in the lower elos. One of his core items in Death's Dance did get buffed recently too, so that's made him indirectly stronger. Black Cleaver into Death's Dance and then Frozen Mallet allows for you to be really beefy in the mid to late game. You can soak a ton of damage, and you can also just deal an immense amount of consistent damage that is guaranteed damage as well. You have your passive, which is super simple to use. You have your W as well. You just got to activate that in fights, and you're going to be able to deal a lot of consistent damage for your team. And then for my final top lane pick, it is going to be Garen. Now, despite this champion being nerfed recently, I do still think he is one of the better picks for the lower ranks, even though he's not as insane as he was in previous patches. Like a couple patches back, he was just insane broken. Like this champion was just the #1 pick for the lower elos, and I don't really think that that's the case anymore, but he's definitely still like top 3, top 5 in my opinion for this patch right now. He's still always going to be a great pick for the lower ranks, just because he's a very simple champion to pick up. You're going to be able to learn the game really well by playing Garen, because you can play like 5 to 10 games on the champion, and you're going to know how the champion works pretty much after those 5 to 10 games. So you can really do a good job of focusing on other things that are more important in the game that can help you become a better league player. So I think Garen still a great pick for you to play in the lower ranks for this patch. And then if we move on to a few jungle picks here, my first one up is going to be Shyvana. So very similar to the Nasus top pick, Shyvana does thrive a lot more for the lower ranks, just because you're not going to be exploited for your weaker early game as much. You're going to scale a lot better into a nice mid game spike, your Runic Echoes and your Nashers. And then if you can finish your Rabadons, the amount of damage you can deal once you pick up those items is just absolutely ludicrous. Your E is going to chunk squishy targets to like below half HP. And if you can just get like AoE E's off in team fights, or if you can just get high priority E's off in fights, then those just single-handedly win you games. You're also going to be able to have much better dragon control in the lower ranks. Like players are not going to be warding early dragons. They're not going to be paying attention to you taking early dragons. So you can just give your team free win conditions by just securing those early dragons on Shyvana and getting a very early dragon soul. And then still arguably the #1 jungle pick for the lower ranks is the Warwick. He's just been such a great pick for the entirety of Season 10. There's so many things to like about this champion for the lower ranks. He's very straightforward, simple to play, great skirmish potential in the early game, good dragon taking potential, so you can get to a good dragon soul early on with the Warwick. He can be in so many different places at once with his W, so with low elo being very chaotic, there's going to be so many fights going on, there's going to be so many low health targets on the map. With that Warwick W, it just allows you to snowball the early game extremely hard and just pick up a ton of free kills. And then for my third and final jungle pick, it is the Master Yi. So a champion that spikes extremely hard there as well with a couple items. Once you do get your Blood Razor and your Rage Blade on this pick, then it doesn't really matter how far the enemy jungler has gotten ahead of you in the early game. If they're playing a jungler who does not scale very well into the mid to late game, say you're playing Master Yi into Olaf, doesn't really matter how far he gets ahead in the early game. If you get to your Blood Razor, Rage Blade, and even to like your Blade Ruin King or your Wit's End, you have insane dueling potential. Like he's a very straightforward pick to where you're just dealing a ton of damage with your auto attacks, and if you can just use your Q correctly when you're fighting with Master Yi to dodge out on damage or to dodge out on crowd control abilities, then you could just single-handedly 1v5 games on this pick. So moving on to a few mid lane picks now, my first one is Malzahar, and I still think that if you're just straight up looking for elo in the lower ranks, then look to play Malzahar. He's got a free kill tool in his ultimate, which is very easy to use. So because low elo is going to be more chaotic, because players are going to be out of position a lot more and just making mistakes, it just allows for you to get free kills with your ultimate whenever that is up. You snowball into a nice mid game spike there on Malzahar, and it just allows for you to do really well into a lot of the most picked like mid lane assassins as well. You see so many of these like Yasuo players in the lower elos, you see so many of these Zeds or Katarinas, and if you can just get past the early game on Malzahar, get to your mid to late game, they're not going to buy QSS in most of the games in lower ranks, so you just press R on those champions in the mid to late game, you make them completely useless, and you just gain free elo with this champion. And then for my second mid lane pick, Veigar is still as well one of the best picks for the lower ranks. The glacial setup on him with the GLP and the twin shadows is just way too strong for the lower elos, because it just allows them to have so much pick potential in the mid to late game, so much zone control in fights. You just are going to be constantly slowing the enemy team with your E once you get on a short cooldown as well. You just have so much zone for objectives, so if the enemy team tries to walk in and tries to contest a dragon or to contest a baron, if you can just be at the objective before it spawns, if you can be controlling vision, then Veigar is one of the best champions at just finding a pick, bursting an enemy champion out, making it a 5v4 for his team. And if you can do that consistently on the champion, you're just going to find yourself climbing extremely quickly with Veigar. And then for my final mid lane pick here, if you want to play more of an assassin pick, if you want a bit less of a resident sleeper mid lane champion, then you can pick up the Diana right now. Diana is one of the best picks no matter what elo at the moment. She's just such a strong champion. She's this mix between like an assassin and a bruiser mid lane pick. Like, you got great one-shot potential with this Diana, you got great skirmish potential, you also have insanely good team fight with this pick. If you can find like a multi-man ultimate in a team fight with the Diana, if you have your core build with your Zhonya's there, then you could just provide your team with so much with this champion right now. So if you are looking for more of that assassin mid lane pick to play right now, then Diana is definitely going to be the #1 choice in my opinion. So heading down to the bot lane here for a few AD carry picks, my first one is Ashe, and I just think that Ashe is a great pick right now no matter what elo really. She's a champion to where she's a lot less team reliant in the sense that you have the ability to make that play or pull that trigger by yourself on Ashe because of your ultimate, so you got really good pick potential there once you hit the level 6. Once you reach the mid game, if you can control objectives with the champion, if you can find a pick with your ultimate when the enemy tries to face check into you, then you could just solo carry games on this pick. In the early game as well with your hawk shot, you just provide your team with so much good control over where the enemy jungler is going to be, so you should never really be dying to an early jungle gank when you're playing this champion if you're using that ability correctly. And then for my second AD carry of choice here, it's going to be Miss Fortune, and I feel like this champion is just set in stone on a list like this. The champion has just been so strong throughout the entirety of Season 10. I'm just really confused as to why she hasn't received more of a substantial nerf here. I feel like she's been the best AD carry throughout every single patch of Season 10. Like, we're on to 9 patches now, and she still hasn't been dropped down at all. Like, she's been an S tier pick for such a long time. Very easy to play, really good early game, skills really nicely into the mid to late game. You're always going to provide your team with something with Miss Fortune. If you can just like hit an ultimate in a team fight, hit a multi-man ultimate, you don't even need to like auto attack once. If you get like a 3-man ultimate, you can just watch your LP rise with Miss Fortune in this patch. And then for my final AD carry, it's going to be Varus. So this champion did just get nerfed recently, but I still think he's a really good pick to climb with in the lower ranks just because you can make plays by yourself with this champion. He's kind of similar to Ashe in the sense that you do have that pick ability in your kit. So if you could just use that at the correct times, if you can hit that consistently, then you're going to find yourself getting a lot of free kills with Varus. You got a really good level 6 all in there. So if you pair him up with any aggressive support, you should be able to get at least a couple kills throughout the laning phase once you get that level 6. And then in the mid to late game, like the Ashe, if you can just control objectives, if you can be at those objectives before they spawn and just hit your ultimate when the enemy tries to face check you, then you are going to see your LP rise with this champion. And then last but not least, if we take a look at the support role, Maokai support right now, in my opinion, one of the strongest, just easiest to play supports in the game. He's got so much good CC lockdown to where it's very simple to use, got great gank assist in the early game with this champion. So if you just call your jungler over for an early gank, if your jungler's just ganking, flash W onto the opponent, queue them back into your team, it's a free kill every single time. So you should be able to snowball the early game really good with Maokai in the lower ranks. Level 6, your all-in potentials is extremely good, and he just does very well into really any engaged support. So if you're going up against like a Blitz, a Leona, a Nautilus, a Thresh, then if they try to engage on your team, you have the ability to very easily lock that champion down, get them off of your AD carry. You've got insane peel potential with this champion, so you can just do a great job at either engaging or peeling for your team in fights. And then for my second support pick, it is going to be the Blitzcrank. So just lots of kill threat in the early game with this champion. If you can just play for the level 2 all in there, play for the level 2 spike and just catch the enemy off guard. If they're still level 1, you hit the level 2 spike, you're going to find yourself getting a lot of early kills on this champion. Once you do snowball your own lane, look to snowball mid lane. So whenever you're coming from base, look to walk towards mid lane. If you see a good roam opportunity, head over there, get your mid laner a free kill, and just snowball not only your own lane, but other lanes out of control as well. And then for my final support pick to round it out here, it is going to be Zyra. So if you're just a support player who's tired of having their AD carry just never do anything, or if you just are tired of your AD carry never being able to carry games, just look to pick up Zyra. She does have the ability to just solo carry games from the support role. You're a lot less team reliant, you're a lot less AD carry reliant when you play this champion, because you're going to build her full damage. You got a lot of consistent damage coming out of Zyra, really good laning phase, great all-in potential at the level 6 there. You should find yourself getting a free kill pretty much every single game at level 6 with Zyra, as long as you can hit your root into your ultimate. Really nice combo there. And once you do hit the mid to late game, you're gonna find yourself dealing most damage like pretty much in every single fight with Zyra, and you're gonna have most damage at the end of the game almost all the time with this pick. So that's going to be it, guys. That's going to round out the video. Those are 3 of the best champions for every single role for the lower ranks right now for patch 10.9. So if you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.